The Galactic Council had sent Commander Threx and his delegation to Earth with one mission: assess whether humanity deserved a seat among the stars. They had reviewed Earth's technological achievements, studied its cultural complexities, and analyzed its military capabilities. But nothing in their extensive briefings had prepared them for what Dr. Lena Cross was about to show them. "Commander, welcome to the Australian Wildlife Conservation Center," Dr. Cross said, extending her hand in the peculiar human greeting Threx had learned to tolerate. His chitinous appendage touched her palm briefly before retracting. "Dr. Cross, we appreciate the hospitality, but the Council requires data on human behavioral patterns, not recreational excursions," Threx replied, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into perfect English. Lena smiled, that enigmatic human expression that always unsettled the aliens. "Oh, this is behavioral analysis, Commander." "You'll see." They walked through the facility's corridors, passing enclosures that housed creatures Threx's team had flagged as Category 5 lethal in their databases. His security officer, Krell, kept one manipulator on his plasma weapon at all times. "First stop," Lena announced cheerfully, approaching a large glass enclosure. Inside, a massive saltwater crocodile rested on a sandy bank, its prehistoric eyes tracking their movement. The creature was easily 5 meters long, its jaws capable of generating over 3,000 pounds of pressure per square inch. "This is Brutus," Lena said fondly. "He's a sweetheart." "That organism has terminated 17 humans in recorded history," Threx stated, his datapad flickering with information. "Why do you keep it alive?" "Because he's magnificent," Lena replied simply. She pressed a control panel, and a section of the enclosure opened. Before Threx could activate his translator to scream a warning, Lena had stepped inside. The Galactic Council members froze in collective horror. Their combat instincts screamed at them to extract her, but they watched, paralyzed by the sheer absurdity of what happened next. Lena approached the crocodile calmly, speaking in soft tones. "Hey, big guy, ready for your checkup?" She knelt beside the apex predator and ran her hand along its textured hide, her fingers tracing the ridges with obvious affection. The crocodile's eyes closed partially, and if Threx didn't know better, he would say the creature appeared content. "Impossible," Krell whispered. "The threat displays, the territorial aggression, where are they?" "Brutus knows me," Lena explained, opening the crocodile's massive jaws to examine its teeth. "We've built trust over years. He's a wild animal, yes, but he's also intelligent enough to recognize patterns and relationships." After several minutes of inspection, and what Threx could only describe as affectionate patting, Lena exited the enclosure unharmed. The aliens' biosensors were registering off-the-scale readings of their own stress hormones, while Lena's remained remarkably stable. "That was your idea of behavioral analysis?" Threx demanded, his translator adding an edge of indignation to his tone. "That was the warm-up," Lena said, leading them deeper into the facility. The next enclosure housed a creature that made even the crocodile seem docile by comparison. A massive saltwater jellyfish pulsed gracefully in a specialized tank, its tentacles trailing like deadly ribbons. The box jellyfish, Threx's database informed him, carried enough venom to kill 60 adult humans in minutes. "Now, I can't exactly pet Prism here," Lena admitted, gesturing to the jellyfish, "but I do interact with her regularly." She rolled up her sleeve, revealing a faint scar. "This was from my first week. I was careless, got stung, nearly died, but I learned, adapted, and now I can work around her safely." "You nearly perished and yet continued this madness?" Threx couldn't hide his bewilderment. "Understanding requires risk, Commander. Every species on Earth evolved to survive. Some develop venom, others teeth, others strength. But we humans developed something else: the ability to coexist with danger, to study it, respect it, and even form bonds with it." The final demonstration took place in an open-air enclosure. A Bengal tiger, 300 pounds of muscle, claw, and fang, padded toward the viewing area. Threx's entire security detail raised their weapons. "Stand down," Lena said firmly. "Raja is my friend." "That predator could disembowel you in seconds," Threx protested. "So could a human with a knife," Lena countered. "But we don't live our lives in constant fear of each other." She entered the enclosure, and the tiger immediately approached, rubbing its massive head against her shoulder. Lena scratched behind its ears, and the sound of purring, A rumble deep enough to vibrate the ground filled the air. "We call this trust," Lena explained, her voice barely audible over the purring. "Raja was orphaned as a cub. I bottle-fed him, taught him to hunt, gave him medical care. He's a wild predator, yes, but he's also family." Threx watched as this fragile human embraced a creature that evolution had designed for killing, and the predator responded with what could only be described as affection. His entire worldview shifted in that moment. "Your species domesticated wolves into companions," Threx said slowly, pieces falling into place. "You tamed horses, cattle, birds of prey. You don't just survive alongside your planet's dangers, you befriend them." "We're not the strongest, fastest, or most venomous species on Earth," Lena agreed, stepping out of the enclosure after giving Raja one final pat. "But we're persistent, adaptable, and empathetic. We see potential allies everywhere others see only threats." Commander Threx transmitted his report to the Galactic Council that evening. His recommendation was clear. Humanity didn't just deserve a seat at the table, they might teach the galaxy something it had forgotten in its millennium of technological advancement. The ability to find connection in unlikely places, to transform danger into friendship, to look at a predator and see not an enemy but a potential companion. "One question, Dr. Cross," Threx said before departing. "If you can befriend Earth's apex predators, what does that make humanity?" Lena's smile was knowing. "We're the species that looked at wolves and thought, best friend, Commander. We're the ones who turned Auroch into cattle, wildcats into house cats, and raptors into partners. We're not the apex predators of Earth." She paused, her eyes gleaming with that peculiar human confidence. "We're the species that tamed them all,